What's up, everybody? We back up in here, Hella Flagrant, the podcast. It's your main man, Hella Flagrant DM. And as you know, I'm in here with my brother, Sean B. Flagrant. We back up in here. Hashtag Hella Flagrant, the podcast, episode number 3. Damn. Sean B. Flagrant, bro, what's up? What's up with you?
Just another week in sports, man. NBA is coming up real soon, actually next week. Whenever y'all watching this, it might be the first day of the NBA. It depends on you. NFL rolling around. World Series about to start pretty soon, everything like that, man. Like it's big time in sports right now. Big time in sports.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely the height of sports action and activity. So, as we get into the fall and winter months, sports is turning up, professional and college sports. So everything is starting to turn up. So Motherfucker podcast, as you know, we right up in it. So we're going to jump this thing off. We're going to get started talking about some NFL updates. Couple of things. Let's just go ahead and point out my 49ers are still undefeated. Got to start that off and just go ahead and say that. Went ahead and beat the Rams. That was interesting and exciting, nonetheless. But yeah, some other news around the NFL sports world. Big piece of news: Kansas City Chiefs star quarterback Patrick Mahomes,
man,
out for we don't know exactly when yet. Andy Reid decided on a 4th and 1, while they were up early in the game. Just have Patrick Mahomes run a quarterback sneak.
Yeah.
A man who they were already praying for his ankle now injures the knee. So,
tough situation for the Kansas City Chiefs, more importantly for Patrick Mahomes. Yesterday they went and played the Denver Broncos in Denver, Thursday night football. Terrible game, to say the least.
Horrible.
Denver is god-awful. If you're a Denver fan, I pray for you. That team needs to be blown up immediately.
Wait, we got a Denver faithful that watches this. My homeboy B-Dubs, he's from Colorado. We're not going to hate on your team, Dubs, but they need some help. You might want to go play for your team right now.
Look, I'm just going to say it like it is, man. The Denver Broncos are terrible right now. I'm sorry. It's going to be a fire sale going on pretty soon. Vic Fangio, look, great defensive coordinator. Head coaching job might have been a little bit too much for him to put on his plate. Von Miller, now without Bradley Chubb, is having a tough time getting pressure on any quarterback.
Yeah.
If you can't score on a Kansas City defense, I don't have any hope for you. I'm sorry. I know they won the last 2 games before that, but I'm sorry, that doesn't work. Anyway, back to Patrick Mahomes. Like we said, Patrick Mahomes had an ankle injury that started actually in Kansas against Jacksonville in week 1. He kind of been playing on it, a little bit hobbled, but it's Patrick Mahomes. He plays excellent no matter what. The last 2 games before the Denver game, he actually Kansas City lost to the Colts and the Texans. Been kind of a struggle trying to figure out their mojo, get their season back on track and produce, but yesterday, they took a terrible step back with Patrick Mahomes getting injured. At this time, it wasn't his ankle, it was his knee. But, they're saying at least 3 weeks, best case scenario. So, prayers up for Patrick Mahomes. Hope he comes back because if you got Matt Morris starting as your quarterback, I don't think it's going to be able to do like a replica of what Teddy Bridgewater is doing right now for the Saints in absence of Drew Brees. I don't think Matt Moore has it in him to do that, just being honest, especially with the defense not playing up to par. So, Kansas City fans, it's going to be tough. Denver fans, it's going to be tough either way. But, everybody who played in that game is going to have a terrible few games going forward nonetheless. At least Patrick Mahomes might be able to come back. It's funny how you said they were praying for him. Bit of news that came out literally about 2 hours before the game started that a church in Kansas City actually was coming together to pray for Patrick Mahomes and his, messed up ankle. Obviously, it deflected and went to his knee. So I guess their prayers weren't heard, at least not for the entire body. I'm sure his ankle is fine now, but not his knee.
Right.
But, if I just thought about this earlier today, this all rotates back to the Madden curse.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes, cover boy, outstanding.
You hate to say it, but it's real, though.
It's real. Like, it is a real thing. I mean, at this point, I think Madden just needs to come out with a generic cover and just keep it going. We're still going to buy it. We're still going to buy it.
Just put Antonio Brown on for the next 10 years.
Well, I mean, he was last year's, wasn't he? Or, you know what I'm saying? And he's not even in the league anymore. So, I mean, we already talked about him in the previous episodes, obviously. And he's still trying to, talk his way and social media his way back in everybody's good graces. But he's done. Hopefully nobody other team decides to take on his mess. But, whatever. But that's Kansas City and Denver's situation right now. So, but there's a lot going on.
And I said it at the top of when I said it, and I'm gonna say it again. Andy Reid, what were you thinking, though, bruh? 4th and 1, you're in field goal range, and you were up by 4 against one of the sorriest teams in the league. Like, right. What was the necessity? Like, where do you find it necessary to run a quarterback sneak in that situation? Take the field goal. Go on about your day. You still blew Denver out, even with your backup.
I agree with that. I don't think it was a smart move. I don't think it was as bad as maybe as I thought it was when I first saw it, only because of the simple situation. I feel like when you have an injury that you just kind of bypass and don't think about, I kind of equate it to the operation. Remember the old school game operation where if you touch something, it buzzes and stuff like that. And if something else buzzes, it gets dramatically harder. And, Anyway, my point is Derrick Rose is my example that I use in the NBA. But same with Patrick Mahomes, I feel like eventually something could have happened just because he was running out there every game. You had him doing remarkable things every time or every game and not addressing the fact that his ankle was tore up. Right. You know what I'm saying? So eventually something was going to happen. I don't wish injury on anybody, but I just feel like running a quarterback sneak at the time wasn't the smartest move. I wouldn't have done it either way. You have, a fullback, running backs. You can throw short passes for that. I mean, if worst case scenario, you can take a field goal and you would have been up by 6. So, yeah, I get that. But it's football. You I guess you can't, hold back everybody during the game. But it's just an unfortunate break, like I said, for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. So, hopefully everything works out for Patrick Mahomes on a personal level. I'm not a Chiefs fan, so I don't want everything to work out for them. But him as a player, I just hope everything works out for him. We don't like to see anybody go down, especially at that caliber and when you're playing at such a high level. So, we hope everything works out for Patty Mahomes. Other news in the NFL, big news. Your boy, Jalen Ramsey, is now on the LA Rams. Probably a little bit too late. They could have used him this past game. But nonetheless, they got him now. They gave up yet another first-round draft pick for him, which I didn't even know this. Two.
And a 4th.
I didn't know this until, sometime yesterday I was reading it. But now the Rams don't have a first-round pick for, 5 years unless they trade up some other kind of way to get into the first round. They have no first-round picks for the next 5 years. So, 2 things at stake. Jalen Ramsey obviously wanted to get away from Jacksonville. He got that wish. The Rams, does Jalen Ramsey instantly make them that much better, number one? Number 2, is everything they've done worth 5 years of no first-round draft picks in this league where injuries happen a lot, where trades happen a lot, where guys go down all the time? You aren't really planning to have fresh guys in there?
Well, I don't think it's as bad as it sounds. It is, trust me. I mean, if you value first-round picks being the end-all, be-all, and your draft, look, 2 number ones and a 4th-round pick is very steep for anybody. I mean, I don't know many people who have got traded for that. I put it like this: in retrospect, if you think about it, that was what Khalil Mack got traded for. In a roundabout way. I mean, Khalil Mack is a difference maker. I do believe Jalen Ramsey is a difference maker, but I don't think that is going to be a difference maker on the Rams. The Rams have a lot of problems. It's not just Jalen Ramsey. Right. Their whole backfield is decimated. Marcus Peters was terrible. Keith Lee was now on IR. The other cornerbacks that they have are rookies and they're not very good, at all. Aaron Donald's getting double, triple team every time, so his pressure doesn't amount to anything as much as it did last year when they had Ndamukong Suh. Now, saying that, LA is about to open a brand new arena, or a brand new stadium next year in downtown LA, which is $1 billion worth. And Stan Kroenke, the owner, does not really care about first round picks. He wants his people that he knows that if he, that are reliable. Jalen Ramsey is a shutdown corner. He's the only probably number one shutdown corner I think there is left in the NFL. Stephon Gilmore for the Patriots is there this year, at least. He's playing like it. But other than that, in terms of a number one lock, I can follow you all around the field corner, Jalen Ramsey is it. Now, saying that, it does help their defense a lot in terms of if you have pressure with Aaron Donald, one end, and you could take away at least a number one receiver on the other, that will shift the defense to one side and make them play hamstrung. Offense to one side and make them play hamstrung against the Rams defense. Now, I don't know if that's the only thing. The Rams' problem is their offensive line is terrible. Jared Goff gets no time really to throw the ball when they have pass rushers, which is what, San Francisco took advantage of.
Easy.
Right, last week. So that's more their problem. I think you'll see a completely different game when they play Atlanta this week, obviously, because Atlanta has no defensive pressure and no pass rush whatsoever.
Nah.
So, you might see a different type of Rams team. But I think it does help them in the scheme of things in terms of bringing, star power towards LA. LA you got to understand, and I know you know this, but everybody listening, and they probably do too. LA is a big city, is a market. A lot of people that live in LA are not really, football fans. They're more LA Lakers. If they are football fans, they're USC, Trojans, the Dodgers, Kings, football is just getting back into their system with the Rams being there for the last few years. Now, saying that, after they build this new stadium, they need a reason for people to come. What better to have big name stars for people to come? Because as much as, gambling is now starting to play a part in football, especially, and all sports, just having a name like Jalen Ramsey is going to get you respect as a defense. Having Aaron Donald will get you respect as a defense. People will bet more on you and come to your games having these big name stars as opposed to first round picks that we don't know that might pan out. Because there have been first picks, obviously – we all have everybody who's listening to this that has a team has a first round bust in their, in their franchise. So first round picks don't always equate to everything. A lot of times, like especially with let's talk about New England, they always trade out of the first round. Why? Because, if you think about it, the first 32 players that are in the NFL that come out, there's about 500 colleges in the entire world. You know what I'm saying? 64 people, there might be players that you wouldn't even know about or you haven't seen because they play in small schools, like Khalil Mack at Buffalo. Yes, he was a first-round pick, but there are players that people don't get to see on certain levels that these scouts get to see that, might get picked in the second, third, fourth. Alvin Kamara was a third-round pick. Christian McCaffrey was first round. But there's a lot of guys that, that you can find talent in the later round. So I don't really think that the Rams are
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew is, the Minshew mustache. He's that dude's a character. I was going to say that. Yeah. But there's diamonds in the rough everywhere. So, I don't think this actually helps. I think the Rams are still going to be hamstrung in terms of their payroll. I think that's what's going to mess them up more than their first-round picks because now they're going to have to pay literally all their big-name players, this huge amount of money, and they won't be able to get other players.
For me, and I obviously I watched the Rams 49er game intensely, being a 49er fan, but just looking at the Rams both last season, this season, looking at how they lost the Super Bowl, I just kind of feel like they're in a scramble. I feel like the Jalen Ramsey thing is a good move. I don't know that the fix though. You know what I mean? I feel like ever since that Super Bowl loss, they've kind of been in a scramble to figure out how to piece this back together. And now they've lost, obviously a divisional game against San Francisco.
One against Seattle also.
And then a divisional game against Seattle. You know what I mean? Like that stands. And both San Fran, looking at their schedule and looking at Seattle, both of those could be division contenders. You know what I mean? Both of those two could be at the top of your division at the end of the season. And so while I like them getting Jalen out of Jalen obviously didn't want to be in Jacksonville, first of all. Let's go back to that. He wanted to be anywhere but Jacksonville. And LA is obviously still doing what they can to try to contend for a Super Bowl. So I understand it as a move. I get it. I don't know that it's the fix, and I don't know that it's going to be everything that they need to go ahead and go forward in the season, because while Sean McVay likes to do his little trick plays and kind of, real be secretive about things, I think a lot of that stuff, as we talked about watching that game, you got to go back to playing regular football. You know what I mean? And so my hope is with the Jalen Ramsey move, maybe this gets them back to playing regular football. Maybe this, like, the mindset is, okay, we need a secondary to support our front line. We're going to, do what we got to do on offense. I hope that's the plan here. I hope they don't just get Jalen Ramsey and treat him as like, oh, here's the poster child, like him and Aarodala are a poster child for our defenses, but we're still going to do all these trick plays and all this little kooky other crap that, you know what I'm saying? Like that whole, I don't know. Like I hope the mindset in the Rams organization changes, because just adding players doesn't make the whole, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't fix everything that they have going on over there.
I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, it's they have a lot of work. I think a lot of teams in the NFL, though, and that's why I think they did make this move, only because I don't think that everything that we thought was going to happen in the NFL is happening. I mean, there's a lot of injuries. There's a lot of turnaround. There's teams that, you know what I'm saying, like, not to say nothing, I understand the 49ers have been doing their thing, but nobody thought that they would be number one seed at this point, you know what I'm saying, at least in the NFC. And then we have the Patriots that are still doing their thing, and they're number one like always. But, I mean, they can be beat only because I think that they have problems in their offensive line, as well as, you know what I'm saying, like just having bodies to show up and play these games. So, I mean, I think that the Rams only moved because they felt like if we can get this back on track and we can, win a couple of games in a row and build confidence, that if long as we get into the playoffs, it's anybody's game. And I really believe that, because, I mean, right now you look at Dallas, they look terrible. Maybe they come back to life against the Eagles this week, but you never know. I mean, they're at 3-3, and so are the Eagles, but they're fighting for the division at 3-3. The Packers look good, but I don't think that they're dominant in terms of, because they've had a lot of injuries to their wide receiver core.
And shout out to the Detroit Lions. Y'all got hosed. I just have to say that.
Yeah. But Detroit's been actually a present, surprise too. I didn't think that they would be where they're at today. It's a lot of teams. I mean, a lot of teams are pushing limits, and it doesn't even seem like, it's you guys in terms of San Francisco and the Patriots that are at the top. But, I mean, everything else, guys say, Oakland Raiders fans, like right now, we are 3-2. Like, think about that. Yeah. Like, and it doesn't sound like a great record, but I mean, right now we're in the playoffs. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's just okay. It's literally, it could be anybody. It's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, it's any given Sunday at this point. Like it's you know what I mean, from week to week. And I think for the NFL, this is a good thing though, because it keeps people interested in what happens from week to week now, because there is no doubt. Like, for example, a lot of people started this season, and I said it. I said it. I'm glad I said it. Cleveland Browns look great on paper. They look amazing on paper, but they got to play together. You know what I'm saying? They still got to play.
Actually, let's talk about that just for a second. I don't know what is going on over there. Like, I don't get anything. Look, like you said, Cleveland still has to play football. I understand it look good. It's a shiny new toy. You got Baker Mayfield, who came off, number one pick a few years back, came off, the ending of last season, almost taking the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. No, did he? No, almost. They lost to Baltimore in the game. That's right. Anyway, but, bringing in Odell Beckham, having Nick Chubb as your running back, having David Njoku as your tight end, who actually wound up getting hurt, but Jarvis Landry, Denzel Ward in the backfield, Myles Garrett, who was supposed to be Defensive Player of the Year, who when the season first started, looked like he could have been there, and then all of a sudden he faded back just like their team. I mean, look, Cleveland is a mess right now, and it has a lot to do with their coach, but it also has a lot to do with their leadership coming from Baker Mayfield and everything like that. You got to stay hungry. This is your second year. I understand that everything was big for you to come on and be that guy, but look, there's a lot of things that come with having a star wide receiver, a guy who has a big personality in Odell Beckham. It's another thing when you have expectations to be Super Bowl. People were claiming these guys are going to be Super Bowl bound. Right. How many people bought Super Bowl betting tickets for the Cleveland Browns and the overs for their win total at 11? Like, that was probably the easiest. And I should have put that money down when we were at Caesars. I should have done it because I'm telling you right now, that was the easiest under total to bet. 11 wins.
Yeah. They're 2-4 at the moment. Like,
yeah. And I don't see any. I mean, look, you got to understand. They come back off a bye and they play New England.
Right.
Like, that's
in New England. In New England. In New England. Their first two games off a bye are away games. So
right. And Bill Belichick loves to quiet superstar quarterbacks up. You know what I'm saying? So
all day.
Look, all I'm saying is this. I understand that Cleveland, like they just really have to get themselves together, and it starts with Baker Mayfield because all 20 of those commercials that he filmed for Progressive Insurance, yes, I have seen at least 16 of them with his wife and everything. Look, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool that you get money and you get to, get commercials, but you got to understand what comes with that. You know what I'm saying? Peyton Manning can have commercials. You know
and I don't care for it yet with Baker is I feel like he's putting a lot of blame on other people too. Like I feel like, it's this fault. I don't want to blame the refs, and y'all lost by like 20 on that game that you want to talk about the refs. It wasn't like a Detroit situation where one call could have made the game that drastically different. You know what I mean? As a quarterback and as a star quarterback that he is, I need Baker Mayfield to humble himself a little bit more. Take some responsibility and get out there and play football because I've watched you overthrow, underthrow, misread defenses. You know what I mean? So some of this is your responsibility as a quarterback. And if you want the glory for the wins, you got to take all the heat when y'all losing too. So Baker Mayfield, I need you to take some of this heat. I know Odell Beckham obviously is a lot less outspoken now in week 7 than he was in the preseason. He has quieted down a whole lot.
Where's that watch at?
Right.
You're
wearing that Audemars on the field. You're not, doing a lot of this other stuff that you were doing, all the crazy antics because y'all aren't winning football games. And because y'all figured on paper you were going to steamroll over teams just because you had this you guys look like a good fantasy team on paper. But as we know, with fantasy, as fantasy goes, even fantasy ain't fantasy on paper. You got to make some moves. Things happen. And you have to be able to play the game. And so, Cleveland, y'all look great. Yeah. I don't know. Not so much. Y'all look like an 8-8 team, maybe a 7-9 at this point. I don't know. But in their favor, 8-8 still may make the playoffs, especially in their division. So
true. Who knows?
We'll see. Any other notable games you want to talk about for this upcoming week? I know I see Oakland at Green Bay. Something else really. New Orleans, Chicago is probably going to be a good game.
It's going to be a slugfest. Alvin Kamara actually ruled out for that game, which is going to really hurt the Saints' possibilities because Chicago is off a bye and they're playing at home, so it is hard to play in Soldier Field off a bye. I see the Saints. That's going to be a tough game either way. If Michigan can actually have a great game or a decent game, not a great game, just a decent throwing game, I think the Chicago Bears will easily cover that 3. Games to look out for, obviously, we're talking about Dallas and the Eagles only because that's a divisional game, and whoever wins that will be in sole control of the division. So I don't know what to. If I was a betting man, which I am, I would probably take the over in that game. But I would be very cautious because Dallas does still have some of their left tackles out, and it might be a little bit tough with that front seven from the Eagles pressuring. But if Dak can throw the ball at least 10 yards, there will be open fields because the Eagles secondary is terrible. Another game probably to look for, obviously we talk about the LA Rams and the Atlanta Falcons, only because that game might be a shootout. No defense at all, except for Jalen Ramsey running around trying to chase everybody by himself.
I think
it might be a pretty high scoring game.
I think Baltimore-Seattle might be a decent little game. Like that
actually is another game I was thinking about. That actually might be a really good game. Personally, I am going probably for Baltimore in this situation. Doesn't seem like it, only because they are getting 3, I should say, from Seattle.
That's only because it's in Seattle in the rain, though.
Exactly. And Seattle, don't get me wrong, Seattle plays great at home, but they can't stop anybody on defense. If you've noticed, every game that they have played has been in at least one score. They haven't really blown anybody else except for Arizona, but that was when Arizona's offense wasn't clicking. So at this time, I don't believe in. I don't want to say I don't believe in Seattle. I think Seattle's a great team actually, and I think that they are. Russell Wilson is having a spectacular MVP year. I just think that it's almost the exact same mirror as playing with Lamar Jackson. I mean, they're not the same kind of quarterback, but they do the same type of things. And I think that Baltimore will be able to keep up with them. Maybe not win the game, but they'll be able to stay within the numbers. So, I mean, I think those are going to be great games. I mean, NFL is going to be, it's always must-see TV on Sunday morning. You know what I'm saying? Sunday morning. So, whoever you got in these games, you know what I'm saying, root for your team and just have fun sitting back and watching all these battles that they got going this week.
Yeah. So, jumping out of the NFL, as we mentioned at the top of the show, coming up next week, NBA. Oh, it's been too long. It has been too long. We are ready for the NBA to get back. Seen some interesting things in preseason. Seen some ugly things if you're a Warrior fan in preseason. Woo, man! It's going to be you got to be a diehard Warrior fan if you're going to stick through this one because it's.
Yeah, actually, let me talk about that real quick. For all y'all Warrior fans who watch the show, this is the time that you need to show that you're a Warrior fan. Forget about the fact that they're not, they don't have Kevin Durant, they don't have Iguodala, they don't have Sean Livingston, they don't have most of their team. You need to be happy with Glenn Robinson III. You need to be happy, you know what I'm saying?
Marquise
Chris, who actually, unfortunately for what's his name?
Alfonso
McKinney. I'm sorry. Yeah, Alfonso McKinney. I mean, they had to release him. Hopefully he finds a team. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I didn't think that he was doing much, but he still was one of us. So Alfonso McKinney, good luck to you and wherever you wind up. But Warriors fans, be happy with what you have. It's not going to be pretty. You're not going to see greatness every night. You're going to have to deal with the fact that Steph Curry, yes, he might shoot a bad percentage, but you're going to have to because he's going to have to fire a lot of shots. You know what I'm saying?
Easy.
Right.
Easy.
Deal with D'Lo and maybe not knowing the plays right off the bat. Deal with the fact that Willie Cauley-Stein might not be, playing hard or running hard all the time and doing things spectacular like maybe somebody else.
Listen, we have Amari Spellman on the team right now. Come on.
If he plays, it's probably going to mean that we're down by 35. But
we're going to see the old Draymond yelling at people. Draymond's going to yell at people on the court. That's happening.
That's one thing I thought about. He got his money. He'll be okay. No, please no. Like, this man is a competitor. Draymond it's going to be 10 games. Draymond might have a migraine. They're about to shut him down because he's 3 to 5 months. Like, he might be on the same thing with Clay. He might have come back the same time Clay did after about 2 weeks of basketball. But seriously though, I mean, look, new building, new team. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say anything like they're going to be, what you saw the last 5 years, because they're not.
They're not.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, just remember when you're watching them, they gave you 5 years.
Yeah, if you're the fan that you say they are, they gave you a great run for 5 years, and you better enjoy them now, because when we make a comeback in about 2 years and get Giannis off free agency or some other crazy move that Bob Myers and Joe Lacob try to put together to keep this stadium bringing in money, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be right back on the Warriors sack. So, you know what I mean? Don't sleep just because this is one kind of year. Because of everything that we just said, the 5 years that we just had previously, being in a new building, I'm almost positive, not almost, I'm 100% positive the Warriors front office is going to make some drastic move next summer. Like, it's got to happen. It's going to happen.
Just buy time and enjoy what you see. I mean, it's nothing wrong with having games where you're losing or you're battling against Detroit or you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's actual basketball. See, we got on this thing where we just walked in expecting to beat everybody for so long that we didn't actually have to play real basketball. Steph sat out fourth quarters in how many games? Like, yes, expect that he may have to actually play all 4 quarters now. Like, real basketball is actually going to have to take place now. It's all right. It's all right. I promise you, we'll be fine. But we'll see if, and maybe, hey, they give some of them. I saw that ad for $25 tickets at the Chase Center. So hey, you could go see some cheap Warrior games. Get to see the Chase Center. Get to walk around that thing for cheap. And
exactly. I mean,
there you go.
They in a roundabout way. I mean, they gave they gave you what they promised when they had the Joe Lacob, I guess, inaugural thing after they had traded Monte, and we all booed. I booed. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Joe Lacob promised a championship. He gave us 3. Be happy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, be happy. I mean, speaking of that, I got a hat on right now. Championship hat. You know what I'm saying? You might not see it because it's backwards, but this is a championship hat. It's in the second year. So, I mean, think about that. Like,
I got several, so you know what I mean? Like, I've got plenty of Warrior championship gear, town gear. It's fine. We'll be fine. Not sure if he'll be fine. Speaking about Zion Williamson, came out earlier today that he will miss weeks, whatever that means exactly yet, but he will be reevaluated. As we know, in Summer League, he bumped his knee against somebody else's, and so he sat out the rest of Summer League. Obviously, at the end of his middle to end of his career at Duke, there was that injury sustained there. So, and not to kind of harp on him, but I heard a stat today. I guess he's like the 5th biggest player in NBA history or something like that. Like, that's a lot of weight. So we got to look at that. That's something to watch out for to see, prolong how Zion Williams is going to do. I know there was a lot of hype. He's had a lot of cool dunks, but again, if you've got knee and ankle problems and you at that size, physics just tells you, hey, yeah, you can jump up, but you got to come down.
Right.
And all that weight has to come down on this body. And like you said with the Pat Mahomes thing, you might be trying to nurse one thing, and then it just starts to, you know what I'm saying, something else clicks because you overcompensating for that thing. You overcompensate for the ankle, knee happens. Overcompensate for the knee, hamstring happens. Or whatever, you know what I mean? And so that's something to keep an eye on too right there, Zion.
Exactly. No, I mean, Zion, in the first 2 games he's been playing in the preseason, he looks great. He looks like he's ready for the NBA. He doesn't look like, we all probably thought that, will he be able to adjust to the NBA game? All he does is dunk. Look, I am not going to say I'm sold on him, but I do think that he will be but he will be a good NBA player either way. Too great. But that is a major problem. His weight, he's a big man. And it looks great when he goes up and he dunks and he tears the rim off, and it's amazing. I love it too. But the only problem is that takes a toll on your body regardless. Like you said, the weight, your knees, your ankles, your feet, and everything. This is NBA. It's not like he's playing against, people at Duke or, in high school, like when he was playing before he got to Duke, obviously for that first year. This is a fast-paced game.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You got to prepare your body to be playing 82 plus games, depending on if your team makes the playoffs or anything like that. It's going to take a lot. It's going to be a while. I mean, you're going to be running now. Look, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think Zion has to dedicate himself to getting his body in shape and continue to keep his body in shape. I think that's the only problem, and of course his jump shot or working on his jump shot will probably be his whole thing that he needs to work on his whole career, because when you are that big, your weight's going to fluctuate no matter what. It's going to go up and down. It's never going to be a situation where you see Zion looking skinny and trim forever. Like there's going to be days when he's big. There's going to be days when he's not. So it's up to Zion to take care of that, especially living in New Orleans with all that good food. But more importantly, he's got to do that and work on his health, because, like I said, like you just said, actually, with the injury, you laying down on your legs and stuff like that, that takes a toll. Like, it does. It just does. I'll tell you right now, I used to be able to jump and fly all around and do all kind of wild things in the basketball court. You won't catch me doing none of that right now. And it's not the older you get, the heavier you get. It brings down the weight and the pressure on your legs and your joints. It takes a lot. Now, I'm not saying that Zion being 20 is gonna, or how old he is gonna be affected by that right now. He probably won't at all. But it's still a gradual process, especially if you start getting the games where you start playing more and more and more. You know what I'm saying? You're playing games or playing 82 plus games. You play once, and hey, I'm sorry.
We can sit here and name a number of players that had to exit the game early for health issues that were kind of unforeseen. You look at your Chris Bosh's, you look at Greg Oden, you look at, a bunch of different guys that had health issues that were unforeseen or untreated early properly. And as they went on, they had to cut their NBA career short because of that. And so, with Zion, I just hope they get a handle on this quick. They get figure it out, because it does look good when he gets up there and dunk. He does look great when he's flying through the air. And so if he wants to be in this league for a long time, they need to get a hold of that early, in my opinion. Couple other things from this NBA preseason. The NBA is, I guess, at odds with China, if you want to say. I don't know if you really want to say at odds, but yeah, I guess NBA is at odds with China over some comments that Rockets GM Daryl Morey made. I guess, and I don't want to speak too heavily on this because I'm not as educated on the issue as a lot of other people are. But I know that he spoke in agreement with the Hong Kong government, who is opposing China right now, basically wanting them to be able to have free speech and democracy and all that fun stuff. Obviously, the Chinese government, who is a very large financial supporter of the NBA in a number of ways, both through merchandise sales, through they watch the games over there, so TV time. NBA China is big. Players go over there to play all the time. There's a large financial component to the Chinese government and the National Basketball Association. So obviously the Chinese government took offense to a front office person from the league making a statement against them and against their government, which is something that obviously they take very, 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 very seriously. And to put this into context, just so for those of you who don't, I know a lot of us don't immerse ourselves in Chinese politics. I've done some international business. I had to do some things with Chinese companies, and they are very strict and stringent about the words and the word choice that they use for specific reasons, because they are very sensitive about certain things, just like we are here. We have our topics that we're sensitive about. You can't say the N-word in a group full of black people if you're not black, or even if you are black. Some black people don't even feel that no more. But you know what I mean? You can't. There's certain ways you can and can't speak on slavery. There's certain ways you can and can't speak on other cultures. So I know for a lot of us here, we're looking at it as, oh, this is just stupid. But we can't write that off, because to those people that are Chinese, both here in America and in China, it's a serious issue. Right. And so we say all of this to say the league's front man in terms of players, LeBron James, is still the front man for the league in terms of player recognition. he got out and basically I don't want to say he backed the Chinese government, but he basically kind of came out against Daryl Morey a little bit and said that he shouldn't have said what he said and he should have educated himself more on the issue. And now because of that, LeBron is getting all kind of flack. They got posters of him as a communist. LeBron, I saw a picture with him and Fidel Castro. Castro isn't even alive no more. Like, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. But on the flip, if you're from over there, again, we get in this vacuum in America where we think about American politics. If you're from over there, to them, they could have took that as the same as you siding like a Trump siding with white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? Or not necessarily siding with, but not saying, hey, white supremacists are bad people. You know what I mean? He didn't never come out and actually say that. And so a lot of us took it as like, oh, well, you support white supremacy. And so it's the same thing. And so LeBron, in my opinion, probably should have just stayed out of it 100%. Let Adam Silver deal with Daryl Morey. Let Adam Silver deal with the Chinese government. Let the people that are around the commissioner's office handle that. Because I don't really think he should have got involved in that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I agree. The reason, okay, so how I look at it is this, and I agree with you in terms of the stay away from the thing and not speaking on too much that you don't know, and that's where the whole issue comes from. My thing is this. You go to somebody's house, maybe they believe in something different than you do, maybe they act a certain way, you're a guest in their house, you respect their views and their issues. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to necessarily like what they do. But the thing about it is you just go about your business and you either don't comment on it or you respect their house. That's it. Now, this is taking place or what took place pretty much with the Chinese in China, basically, and what they have a problem with. Daryl Morey spoke on something that he didn't know about. Shouldn't have done that. We get that. There is freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that you have to speak. You also work in a business. And I'm not telling him that he shouldn't have said anything, but my point is there will always be something and consequences for things that you do. You are always your own man. You are always your own man. You are always allowed to do whatever you feel is necessary for yourself. But at the same time, you have to understand that if you do a certain act, that there might be consequences or repercussions that come from that certain thing. Now, the reason why LeBron in his situation, why he stood up, was not only because of the situation. LeBron has money tied in this. A lot of players have money that they get, and they I wouldn't say that they get directly from China, but Nike and everybody that they do with their shoes.
There you go.
That brand is huge. And everything like Klay Thompson has answered that he works with. Steph Curry goes overseas every year, goes to China. James Harden, same thing. LeBron said that he's been there 20, 30 times just off of business trips alone. Now, so that's why he came out, I would say, against Daryl Morey, specifically because he's trying to back his brand and make it seem like, okay, well, I don't speak on that, so I'm not going to sit here and say this. But in the same way we were talking about before, that's not your place.
Right.
You don't know enough about the situation either. For you to sit there and talk about Daryl Morey in a certain way and saying he doesn't know about the situation, neither do you. You can't say that. You can't say something about somebody else when you don't either. Now, you're right about the fact that he should have left it alone. The person that should be dealing with this, obviously, is Adam Silver. Adam Silver, I'm not saying that Daryl Morey is his employee, but Adam Silver is in charge of the league. It is his job to rectify any situation that comes from it, whether he does or he doesn't, because the money that comes from the NBA directly that ties with the NBA is going to be affected through him. Now, yes, LeBron James's brand could be affected and might be affected by this, but it will be more affected if you speak on said topic, whether you take a stand on this side or that side. Because the thing about it is you'll never be able to please everybody in the situation. It's better for you not to say anything. Just like Stephen Curry, they asked him about it. He just said, I don't know enough about the situation until I know I don't really have a comment for this. Steve Kerr said the same thing. And a lot of people have tried to distance themselves from it. Look, I know LeBron does a lot of great things for everybody. Like, I mean, a lot of times when he speaks, he usually knows exactly what he's talking about, and he's very detailed in what he's saying. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know a little bit about the situation. I just think because it wasn't directed at him personally, and it wasn't a situation that really involved him per se, he should have just left it alone, just like everybody else did in the NBA.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say two more things, and we can move on from this topic. One is, for those who don't know, the Chinese government did ask Adam Silver to fire Daryl Morey, and Adam Silver said absolutely not, because here in America we value freedom of speech. That's something that we value, and so I applaud Adam Silver for sticking to that because here in America that's something that we value, and whether I'm not here to judge Daryl Morey's comments whether they were right or wrong at all. Absolutely, no, but we do have freedom of speech. However, and that's not really a however. On the flip side, the other point I wanted to make was the president of the United States did come out and try to go at Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich, saying that, when it has something to do with me and American politics, y'all are very outspoken, but you guys are hush mouth to bash China. Let me tell you why that's a problem on his side. It's simple. We live in America. Exactly. We were raised on American politics. If I got something wrong with American politics, I can say it because I can go vote on it. I can't do anything about Chinese or Hong Kong politics. There's nothing I can do. I'm not a Chinese resident. I'm not a resident of Hong Kong. There's absolutely nothing I can do, nor was I raised in those places to fully understand those politics. So for him to come out and try to bash them, and there have been other people that have tried to bash them, talking about, y'all talk bad about the U.S. Yeah, I can talk bad about my own house because I know how my own house works. I don't know how your house works. I can't talk about your house. You know what I'm saying? I can talk about my own house. So I didn't really like that either. Like, I didn't really like him trying to come and bait them and try to force them to say something negative about China. I thought that was real childish. I thought it was real stupid on his part because if they did, they would look stupid.
Right. And I agree with that. I agree with that completely. Like, we have the right to speak about what happens in our government and what happens that directly affects us in the U.S. because it affects us. Everything that he does, whether it be indirectly or directly, will affect us and how we live and how we go about doing things. I can't speak on anything with the Chinese government because I don't know anything. Same thing with LeBron. I mean, he's allowed to say whatever he wants to. Daryl Morey's allowed to say whatever they want to. But I wouldn't say anything because I don't know anything about it. I do know it affects what's going on here. I do know what's going to affect me and what I am, allowed to vote for, what I need to talk about, what I need to do, because this affects me and what, the president does directly affects me, my living space, the people that I care about, and everybody else in the U.S. that has been affected. So I do agree with that, everything you said on that, because I don't feel that he needed to come through and say anything because it didn't have anything to do with him.
He just wanted to say something like he always does. So hopefully this issue does not get stretched out over the season. Hopefully Adam Silver, Yao Ming, who is the head of NBA China, and the Chinese government, hopefully they can come to some sort of resolution pretty quickly and wrap this thing up and get back to the joy of sports because, worldwide basketball had just become such a worldwide accepted sport, and China has been a big supporter of the NBA and of basketball. And so, hopefully there's some building blocks from this and this moves forward and we don't get stuck on this issue for too long. Outside of that, just like I said, ready for the NBA season to get started this coming week. And so we look forward to that. Should be exciting. And that's it, in terms of NBA for right now. Last but not least on our list, interesting story out of the boxing world. Errol Spence Jr. Had a car crash not too long ago. I don't have the details on the date. Had a car crash not too long ago, but they found alcohol in his system. So he has been ruled to be a DUI car crash.
I can touch on this for a little bit. Errol Spence, amazing boxer. He actually just beat Sean Porter to win. I don't forget what belt it was, but basically he took the belt from our maintained his belt, I should say. Earl Spence, that was an amazing fight out of Dallas. Driving his Ferrari late night, 3 a.m. in Dallas, wasn't wearing a seatbelt, wound up flipping the Ferrari. The whole car was totaled. Earl Spence was actually ejected from the car. Has been in critical condition since then. I think this happened last week, actually. Look, from everything I know, Earl Spence probably won't box again. I think this is it if he makes it. And prayers up to Earl Spence and his family right now, and hope that everything, comes through. But he has been charged at this point, or will be charged with the DUI or DWI because he did have alcohol in his system. Now, coming off of a fight, I'm not sitting there. I know a lot of people like to party and like to have fun. I mean, he is hometown Dallas. I'm sure that somebody or everybody in Dallas knows his pink Ferrari and would never pull him over. So he probably wasn't worried about the cops. I mean, nobody's going to pull over the champ in his city. But I mean, it is a terrible situation to hear that.
Dangerous. I mean, it's
very
dangerous, bro.
Very dangerous. I mean, I would never ever promote anybody speeding and flying around in any kind of car, let alone a Ferrari, let alone not wearing a seatbelt. So
and
that's
drunk.
it. And drunk, all three. I mean, so I do pray that everything will be okay just for his life. I'm not really concerned about boxing. I mean, if the Lord sees fit for him to come back and box at some point in his life, if he does make it, I mean, that's good for him. But I mean, the fact of the matter is somebody right now may die from just maybe having a little bit too much fun. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
yeah,
it does hit home when it is a sports member. I mean, obviously, this happens to people every day. So I'm not going to sit here and make light of it or not say anything for everybody else that has dealt with anybody that's been in the situation on any type of level, because it's a terrible thing. But for Earl Spence, because we are a sports show, we are talking about this situation. Prayers up to him for that. And, unfortunately, when he does get healed up, he will be facing some pretty serious consequences, especially because of what happened after with this car.
Yep. So, we'll see. We'll keep you updated as that story develops, see what goes on there. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, it's unfortunate that he felt the need to be that reckless with that dangerous of a car.
Right.
I mean, at those speeds, that small of a car, man, it's just anything can happen. So, hopefully he pulls through this okay, and hopefully he finds a way to learn something from this and be able to move on with life in a much better way. Yeah. With that kind of wraps up this week's episode of Hella Flagrant the podcast. I know most of y'all will be tuning into your favorite NBA teams this week, so let us know who those teams are. We're going to start posting more in the Instagram story on the Hella Flagrant, or on the Flagrant Foul account, excuse me, to ask y'all questions, get y'all more involved in the show, make this more about y'all than just us. And so check in with us. Keep checking in on, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify. I mean, we're everywhere. So whatever platform device that you use to listen to podcasts or watch these kind of things, we're there. I promise you. Just put in hashtag Hella Flagrant or the Flagrant Foul. You'll find the two of us. We're right there. But we want to get back more with y'all. So look out for that. And just look out for more new things and more new changes as we come on. We want to make sure that we keep bringing y'all different sides of sports. I know a lot of accounts do the same things. We want to make sure that we bring y'all different takes on sports and not just serving y'all the same stuff that y'all see all the time. So rock with us. We're going to continue to rock with y'all. It's always been about the fans. It's always been about y'all. So we're going to continue to make this about y'all and make y'all more interactive in what we do. So this could be more y'all show than our show.
Hey, exactly. I mean, this is for y'all. I mean, we do this, all these episodes that we do this is basically to get y'all involved and to understand about sports and the things that we talk about daily and just get a different side than just hearing, from what you see on the TV and the different networks that they produce. So, like, comment, subscribe to everything that we do. Let us know that how we can get better. Let us know what you like to hear, what you want to talk about. www.theflagrantfoul.com is the website. You can find us there. Also, like you said, on all major platforms for the podcast. But just let us know what's going on. Come to our Instagram. That's at the Flagrant Foul. We have our own personal Instagram. You can always come to us. We don't post everything on there, but I mean, you can come to us and let us know, what you like to see, what you want to see, how we're doing, what we're not doing, just anything. I mean, let us know. We also have these shirts that you see right here, still on sale every day at hellaflagrant.com. At Hella Flagrant, there you go. So you can get these shirts. We got more different designs and foul shirts that you guys have seen on previous episodes. We have these shirts. We have the script that you've seen, the cursive, Hella Flagrant, the ones that we, show most of the time. But, we got everything for y'all. Just, stay rocking with us. And, we'll be putting on more. And if you guys can let us know, like I said, what we can do better. And if you guys know people that want to be on the show that are great, sports fans or sports guests or sports players or whoever, just let us know what's up, and we'll try to make that happen.
So, with that, it's a wrap. We out of here. Hella Flagrant Podcast, episode 3. It's been real fun. We're gonna see y'all on the next one.